Hey there, and welcome to Temporary Locals.
I'm Jared from Rover Stover.
And I'm Megan from Echo Goes Global. On this podcast, we explore the world and its stories like locals. Through personal travel experiences, we share hidden gems, history, and maybe even true crime that shape the places that we've actually been. If you're into travel, storytelling, and a little bit of mystery, then you're in the right place. And if that seems like your vibe, we would love it if you would subscribe and join us for the ride. This week, we are taking you to Peru, and this is part one where we will be talking about acclimating in Cusco before heading to Machu Picchu, which will be in part two. And before we get started, we wanted to bring up a current event. So, in past episodes, I mentioned going to Mexico City because I wanted to go for Dia de los Muertos, and then it was like the next week after that we saw on the news that there were protests in the street about digital nomads, so we kind of crossed that one off of our uh upcoming list. And the next thing that we were planning on going or doing was going to Cambodia, and right now they're in a border dispute with Thailand.
Yeah, that's something that I've seen kind of happening recently, just in the past few days. However, the border dispute itself has been going on for a long, long time. They've always kind of been at odds with each other in terms of their borders and the different areas in the country. And I guess it kind of came to a head recently. I think there was some Thai soldiers that were walking around an area that I guess is disputed. Cambodia thinks it's their territory, and the Thai government feels like it's theirs. And the soldiers were injured from landmines. And anybody that knows anything about the history of Cambodia knows that it's known for having a large number of landmines all throughout the mostly rural parts of the country, going back to the Vietnam War. So that's a big issue in the country, and so that happened, and they started firing at each other. I'm not trying to take sides or anything. We're not going to get into like the politics of it on the podcast, but it sucks because they're two countries that I really love, and I really like that part of the world in general. But, it's two countries that I really, really love a lot. And I know people in both countries, and it's really unfortunate, but yeah, that's somewhere that we have been talking about going to for a long time. I was visiting Cambodia and going to all the temples and everything. And I think that as of right now, it seems pretty safe in the areas that we would be in, like Siem Reap, and we obviously want to go see like Angkor Wat and all that. But yeah, in any of the areas near the borders, it seems to be kind of high tension right now. So we'll wait and see and kind of see how that plays out, and hopefully the two countries can come to an agreement, and hopefully there can be some peace in the area.
Yeah, I'm being optimistic. I don't think we're going to cross this one off our list anytime soon. We're still going to plan to go. But it was just interesting that we were kind of just talking about going and then it's in the news. We need to just stop talking about places, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's just so much going on in the world all the time,
Yeah.
and we're always bombarded with it because of, the internet and social media. And
Yeah.
so you're more aware of things going on too. And yeah, it seems like every time we pick a place that we want to go, something happens in that place.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Alrighty. Well, let's get into our episode. We'll talk about our trip to Peru. We went in June of 2024. And before we left, we actually flew out of Charleston Airport. And so we kind of did a pre vacation.
Yeah. Yeah, we decided to go down to Charleston a few days before flying down to South America. And spent some time in Charleston. We stayed at the Crown Plaza right off Highway 26, right by the airport, and we really like the Crown Plazas. I'm a big fan of them, and so yeah, we spent a couple of days there just kind of hanging out by the pool. You were still working, so you were doing like work on your laptop
By the pool.
by the pool while I'd swim and smoke cigars.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a nice, yeah. It was a nice, like, slow down before our trip because we just spent, was it one night? It was just one night, right? Or was it two?
Oh, we were there for a few nights.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Before we went, and then we flew out of the Charleston airport. So that was actually my first like long flight. Um, so we flew Charleston. Didn't we fly Charleston to Miami, or did we fly straight Charleston? No, we flew Charleston to Atlanta.
Yes, that's right.
And then we flew Atlanta to Lima, Peru.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a short flight from Lima to Cusco.
Right.
But that flight from Atlanta to Lima was like 7 hours.
Yeah.
But yes, I remember getting stuck in Atlanta because that was when we were trying to get across the Atlanta airport, which is huge. And we talked about that the last episode.
Yeah. And the train was down.
The train was down, so we literally had to walk like a mile.
Yeah, I think it was over a mile. But yeah.
It might have been 2.
And what was funny is I think right after we actually got to the area of the airport that our gate was in, our terminal,
the train started working.
The train started working again. But we walked the whole from one end of the airport to the other, and it was we spent a few days in Charleston, and that was kind of nice, just kind of hanging out by the pool and relaxing before our trip to Peru, because on a lot of our trips we don't really, it's not really a vacation. A lot of times it's more of like we're doing so much that it's not like, I don't fly to other countries to sit around and like relax per se. I like to do stuff, and so this trip we did a lot, and so it was kind of nice to have that little bit of time beforehand to kind of get our bearings and relax a little bit. That's why I always suggest, if you're going on like a big trip, and we do this a lot, we'll take off work a day or two beforehand, and even a day or two once we get back, if you have the time to take off.
Yeah, I like to prepare, before we go on a trip. I like to make sure like all the laundry's done, things are clean, so that when you come home after a while of being gone, that is just like, a nice fresh, like I even like to change our sheets before we leave to come back to fresh new sheets, and it just helps like kind of recovering from the trip itself. And yeah, coming back and not having to turn around and like go straight to work is nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think you said in the intro about, we'll be talking about acclimating, and the reason we bring that up is because if people aren't aware, people that don't know or have never been to Peru or Cusco specifically, is that it's in the high Andes, and so I think Cusco itself sits at over 11,000 feet elevation, so it's up there. And they tell you when you go to Peru, I mean, pretty much everybody you talk to, it's on all the forums and everything, people talk about having to acclimate before you get there. And because, some people will have a rough time if they don't. And so they also tell you that when you go there, you may not want to do something like Machu Picchu or anything super strenuous right away. So you don't want to fly in and then plan to do something like that the next day. You want to give yourself a few days to kind of get used to the altitude, because it's pretty extreme.
yeah, and none of us in our group experienced altitude sickness, like, which was, great. I'm really glad. But there were times where we were like just walking around, and there were people just like randomly like just throwing up, and it was like,
yeah,
the altitude will really get to you.
Yeah, they sell canisters of oxygen.
Yeah.
People are just walking around sucking on oxygen.
Yeah, I've seen that in like Denver though, and it's a mile high.
Yeah.
Or I guess like in Vail, but yeah, so yep, we landed in Cusco, and one thing that was really cool about that is we deplaned on the tarmac. So it's like you land in Cusco, which is already kind of like you fly into a valley that's just like, lots of houses lining the hills. And so you land in the valley, and then you get out and you're just like, you're there. I don't know. It just felt like surreal. Like, oh, wow. Like we're smack dab in the middle. We're here. We made it.
Yeah. And flying in to Cusco. You fly through the Andes Mountains and just looking out the plane window, just some of the most incredible mountain ranges you'll ever see. Just amazing.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, speaking of the Andes, I remember there were times where we were like driving, like on our way to different places. And I was just like looking out the window and looking up, and I was amazed. I was like, these mountains are huge. And like, I thought, because we live in on the East Coast, and I thought driving through the Rockies on the West, or not the West Coast, but like, further out west, were huge. And I was like, wow, these mountains are huge. And they are like nothing compared to the Andes. I was so amazed. I was like,
Yeah.
they just
Well,
they
it's the
just keep
same
going.
thing. Yeah. And it's the same thing with the elevation, too. I mean, people that go to Denver are like, oh my God, it's so high. And then you go to somewhere like Cusco or the Andes, and it's like, man, that's a whole nother ball game, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then another thing about like being in Cusco, there's that I don't know what you call it. It's like up on the hill, but you can pretty much see it kind of like anywhere in Cusco, and it says Viva El Peru in like huge letters.
Mm-hmm.
That was another thing that was just really cool
It's
to
like a,
see when we got there.
yeah, it's like a geoglyph,
Yeah.
kind of like they have in like Nazca.
Yeah.
But it's on the mountainside, and you can see it as you're flying in, and pretty much anywhere in the city you can see it from, like you said. So it kind of can also help you kind of navigate the city.
Yeah, it's like the North Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, so talking about like acclimating and stuff, like I I know somebody who is from Peru. It's one of my dad's college friends. So I reached out to him before we went and was just like, "Hey, we're going to Peru. Any tips, whatever?" And so he talked about the elevation, and he recommended that you could find like altitude sickness pills. And so I did get those on Amazon before we left, and they were called like Altitude RX or something. I don't know what's in them. But like you were supposed to take them like before you left and then while you were there. I I mean, I don't know. Maybe it would have been worse if we hadn't taken them, but I stopped taking them at some point kind of near the end of our trip. But I didn't experience sickness, but I did experience headaches, which I'm already prone to outside like of being in high elevation. And then I felt really dehydrated, but I and obviously winded, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't even remember taking altitude sickness pills, but you say we both did.
yeah, we both took them, and I know that there was times where we just felt absolutely fatigued. Um, but I think the headaches were the biggest thing. But one other thing that they say that you can do while you're there is get coca leaves from the
Yeah, and
coca
that's
plant.
pretty much what we did, and especially what I did. I kind of looked for them. I seeked them out because I heard about them, and that's kind of what the locals suggest, and the locals take them too. Even the people that are acclimated and are used to the elevation, they take them recreationally. So they're kind of a big thing there. But that's what everybody from there kind of that we talked to recommended, and so that's kind of what I looked for when we landed. And also, I just in everyday life, I chew tobacco. That's like my one vice that I still have. And so I knew I wouldn't be able to get like chewing tobacco in Peru, but the coca leaves were something that I could it was kind of the same thing. It's something I could like stick in my gum, and because you get crushed coca leaves and you put them in your mouth and you kind of suck on them. And so it kind of helped with my cravings for chewing tobacco.
Yeah, and they do teas. They'll make like a coca tea out of
Mm.
it too, which I think we tried once, but I think we kind of both were like, we'd rather just put the leaves in our mouth
Yeah, the
and
raw leaves.
have
Yeah.
leaves in our teeth.
But they have candies, they have all kinds of stuff you can get.
Yeah. But a funny story, and one of my probably favorite stories from our trip, is we had talked to our group mates beforehand about, when we land, we want to try to find coca leaves, blah, blah, blah. We want to try to find coca. and like COCA, coca. And so we land and we're at the airport in,
Lima.
yeah, was it Lima or Cusco? I can't remember. It was one of the airports, and it was small, and they had a shop. And one of our group mates came and they said, "Oh my gosh, they have what you guys were looking for." And we bought like 5 different bags. And we were like, "Oh, sweet. Yeah, let's try them." And they pull out these bags and they are cocoa covered coffee beans in multiple flavors. And
How much did they spend? Like
it
$40 or
was like
something?
$50 on
Yeah.
chocolate
Yeah.
at the airport.
Yeah. They thought we were looking for cocoa and we were supposed to have coca.
I remember just being stunned because I was like, is this a joke? Like, are they just joking and they really just wanted chocolate? Or, but no, they were totally serious. They didn't,
Yeah.
they didn't realize there was a difference. But yeah, that one letter makes a difference.
Yeah. So they had like $50 worth of chocolate to lug around.
Yeah, they were good though.
Yeah.
Don't let me like knock them. They were good, and there was different flavors. There was like a banana flavor, and like there was other fruit flavors. They were good, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But
it's just so funny.
yeah, coca leaves were kind of an ongoing theme of this trip. I mean, especially for me, a lot of places we went, I would try to find them, and you see the locals using them and stuff. So it was kind of a thing while we were there that we partook in a lot.
Yeah. Oh, and we have to talk about getting to the Airbnb from the airport
Mm-hmm.
because so we had I guess it was a not Airbnb, what's the other one? It doesn't really
Verbo.
matter. Verbo, yeah. So yeah, our group mates contacted the person from the Verbo and they were like, "Yes, we will come pick you up." And so we had how many was in our group?
6.
6? Yeah. So we had 6 of us in our group, all of our luggage. Some people had multiple like check bags. So we had a bunch of luggage with us, and they show up in like a Fortuner or whatever it was,
Yeah.
which would have been fine had we not had so much luggage. But so we had 2 people in the front, one of the drivers, and then uh 3 people sitting in the third row, somebody in the back with all the luggage, and then I was like laying across the 3 people in the
Mm-hmm.
third row. And I remember just being like, if we hit a speed bump, like my neck is done.
Yeah. Well, and it's like when you go to like South America or Europe and like other places in the world, even their like SUVs are just they're smaller. Like their
Yeah.
vehicles are smaller than what we have here. So even though they have like a SUV, it might be like a Forerunner or something, but it's like they're just smaller vehicles there.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't a Forerunner. They have their version of a Forerunner, which is the Toyota Fortuner.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. And all the vehicles there are manual too. Like every
Yeah.
taxi that we
Everyone.
got in
Yeah.
was manual. But yeah, and then so we made it to our Verbo, which was an apartment, and it was actually on the 3rd floor. And that was the first, well, I feel like getting off the plane was the first time that I felt the altitude, like my chest. I was like, oh, okay, there's a difference here. Like something's happening. I don't know that I really knew that I was not getting enough oxygen. I don't know. I do feel like my chest burned though when we
Yeah.
were trying to go through like customs and stuff.
Yeah. You get off that plane, you walk down the stairs to the tarmac, and it's like, man, like
Yeah,
you could tell you're high up. The
yeah,
air is thin, it's hard to breathe.
yeah.
You know, that's when you pop some coca leaves in your mouth.
Yeah. So getting into the 3rd floor on the apartment in our Verbo, I had to pause. Like I had to take rests on the flights up because I was like, oh man. And I remember, I think you probably even looked at me and were like, "Are you gonna be okay when we go to Machu Picchu?"
Yeah. And again, this is why they tell you to stay in Cusco for a few days and acclimate, because
Yeah,
people will show up not knowing, and they'll book their, hike to Machu Picchu the next day. And if you're
not
not
be ready.
acclimated and you're not used to the elevation, it's going to be rough.
Yeah,
And we saw it. We saw people sick.
we sure did. But we also saw the opposite of people that are like in their 70s and 80s, just like, walking around us at Machu Picchu, and it was like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we spent, a couple days just acclimating in Cusco, walking around. So, I mean, even where our Airbnb was, Cusco itself is just like a steep city. I don't know how else to describe it, but um, where we were, I don't know, I felt like we were kind of like at a midpoint. Like there was definitely places to go up, but then you could go like straight down. And so we, the first thing that we did, we tried to like walk around and find a store.
Well, there was like a little bodega that was like across the street from us that had Inca Cola kind of plaster on the side that was all messed up. It was like a rundown little shop, and you walk in and it's like the size of a closet, and they just have a bunch of stuff in there that you can buy.
Yeah.
So I think we went in there, and yeah, we just kind of walked around Cusco, and I think that helped us acclimate too. Was just kind of getting out there and walking the hills. But yeah, it's all mountain. I mean, you're in the mountains in Cusco. There's just it's not a huge city, but you look out across it and it seems pretty big.
Yeah.
And
It
it
definitely,
has like a favela kind of feel to it. It looks like
yeah.
favelas, you know.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, it did feel really big. Um, but I remember walking down, there was like a mall not too far. So I remember walking down to that and then being like, uh oh, because it was just like, it felt like a 45 degrees straight back up to our, um,
Yeah, just stairs
yeah.
and so many stairs.
It was cool though. It was a really cool walk. Um, and it had street lights. It was really cool doing it at night. We did it at night a few times,
Hmm.
and there was always street dogs.
Yeah, that was another like ongoing theme of this trip was the street dogs everywhere. I've been to other places in the world that had a lot of street dogs, but I've never seen this many dogs running around
Yeah,
anywhere else in the world. I mean, Cusco and Peru in general is just full of wild dogs running around.
yeah, yeah. That was a really fun part of that trip too, because I mean, there was times where we'd be up in our apartment and we would go up to the roof, which I don't know if we were supposed to, but nobody said anything. But like, there was times that we would go up there. We actually like hung our clothes up there because we didn't have a dryer, but we had a washer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we'd go up there and smoke cigars and stuff, and just kind of look out over the city because it was just a cool view. But we sometimes would look down, and there'd just be like 5 or 6 dogs running after each other in the street.
Yeah.
And there was that one scraggly dog who he was standing on business,
He was
dude.
a menace the whole time we were
Yeah,
there. I don't. Yeah, he kind of hung around our neighborhood, and we would just we would just watch him, and he was just mean. Like he would attack other dogs. He would chase people. He'd chase motorbikes.
yeah.
There's a
He
lot of
kind of
motorbikes
chased
there
us.
too.
Like he didn't get up close to us, but he was like trying to run us off for sure when we walked by him on
Yeah,
that one street. And
yeah. He was like, "This is my neighborhood. This is
yeah,
my street."
and I don't know what kind of dog he was, but he reminded me of like Tramp from Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of dog. I don't know what that dog is, but
I don't know, like a Scotty or something. I don't know, but
yeah, he would like chase the motorbikes and stuff, and like yeah, he was funny, but yeah, the dogs are just they just run amok there, and there's so many of them, and it's I describe it like they're a third type of citizen. It's like there's men, women, and street dogs.
yeah, and some of the street dogs had uh like little outfits, and it was like they were dirty. Like you could tell. I don't know. It was almost like somebody just put the outfit on them because they found the dog, and then like they don't. We kept saying like they don't look like they have homes. They look like everyone just like accepts them as you know like the community dogs, and that everybody just takes care of them.
Yeah, I said it's like no one owns them, but everybody owns them.
Yeah,
They're kind of like communal dogs. They're communal
yeah,
pets. And yeah, people make little sweaters for them and put them on them and stuff, but they're just wild street dogs, and they just run all over the city, and they run in packs, and they have little gangs. One time we were up in the apartment, and I think it was at night, and I remember hearing like a bunch of barking outside and like a ruckus. And I looked outside and there was like 3 dogs and they were like ganging up on this one dog. And
Yeah.
I remember I like opened the window and I yelled out and I was like, "Hey, leave him alone." And they all looked at me and ran away.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. I remember like there was one we were getting picked up to go somewhere and we were like driving and they'll just be like sleeping in the street and so like the our driver would like, do the little beep 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 and honk the horn and then the dog kind of looked at us like slowly and was like, all right, and then slowly got up and got
Yeah.
out of the road.
Yeah, they just kind of get up slowly and disperse like you're the one inconveniencing them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you come around a turn and the taxi drivers there drive like crazy. I mean, they fly around turns and up and down hills and you'll come around a turn and there'll just be like 5 or 6 dogs laying in the street and he'll have to slam on his brakes and beep
Yeah.
beep, you know.
Well, on the roads in Cusco, some of them are like cobblestone and they're like narrow and windy too. So,
It's funny though cuz you see that, like you see the street dogs laying in the street, which seems, like not a good idea, but everybody kind of watches out for them, but you also see some of them are like really like smart. And I remember
I s-
seeing one as we were driving through town the one time. I remember seeing one stand at a crosswalk, like sitting at a crosswalk with people just kind of chilling and waiting. And I remember like the light turned and the dog started walking and like looked both ways. And like, it's just like,
yeah, I swear it's like I don't know, maybe it's like natural selection or something, but
I think
they
their dogs in other countries like that are just like smarter because you realize how different it is. Like a dog here in the States, if they get out, if they run away or whatever, it's like a big deal. It's like, oh no, they're not going to survive. They're going to get hit by a car.
and
But
yeah.
over there, it's like they're fine.
Yeah.
Like they're street smart.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to put it is they are street smart. But yeah, so we really enjoyed the street dogs while we were there. But another thing that we really like to do, and we didn't look this up beforehand. This was something like when we got there, we were like, oh, what can we go do? But they have a town square called Plaza de Armas. And pretty much, man, every day we were just like, let's go. And there was near our apartment, there was this like little landing area. And it wasn't like advertised, but I think it was like unofficially like a taxi pickup spot because there was always a taxi person waiting there.
Yeah, it was just like a dirt lot down the
Yeah.
hill. And you just kind of would go down there and stand. And then eventually somebody would kind of pick you up.
Yeah, so yeah, we'd leave and we'd go catch a taxi and we'd go to Plaza de Armas and then just kind of walk around. And man, it I don't know if we just caught them at the right time of year, but it felt like every single day that we went down to Plaza de Armas, there was a parade. They had the street shut off and there was just celebrations in the streets, parades of people and some of the parades that we saw were like call it like university. It was like I don't know if it was graduation or what, but they were kind of walking and they had like uniforms on or they'd be kind of like doing dances and stuff and it was just like man, it's a party.
Yeah, it's a very festive city. And you're right. Every day that we went to Plaza de Armas, it seemed like there was a festival going on. There was parades, there was people dancing in the street. And I remember just thinking like what a fun place to live. Like
Yeah.
how cool is this? And it was just such a fun experience cuz every day we'd go down there and there was something going on and
Yeah.
sometimes it would make it kind of hard to get down there like with taxis and stuff because it was too far to walk. Did we ever walk down there? I don't know if we ever walked that far.
No, I don't think so. I don't even know how far it was.
It was far, but
Yeah, it was like a
we
10
would
minute drive.
we would take taxis down. And remember that one time we got into a taxi and the guy was like trying to get us there, but all the roads were blocked off and stuff because they were having some sort of big parade. And remember he like took us through like a lot and it
Yeah,
was like
it
a
was like
secret
a
like shortcut or something. And it was like the honor system because there was just like a bucket hanging at the end of the lot with a string. And he just like stuck his hand out and put some Solace
yeah.
in the bucket and that was like his paying the guy to let us like drive through that lot or whatever.
Yeah, it was like an auto body lot or something. Like I don't know if it was like a car dealership or what, but there was a lot of cars parked and it was like clear that some of them like were being worked on in that lot. Yeah, that was cool. We were like, "Oh." I don't even think it was a bucket. I think it was like just a cup on some string or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, we loved walking around the plaza, and there's so many cafes. That's where the Starbucks was too. And they had a McDonald's there that had the black arches.
Yeah.
We didn't actually go into that.
No,
Um,
we tried to hit up a lot of local spots there because there's so many.
yeah.
And we ate and had coffee at one of the cafes, which I don't remember the name now, but we got to sit up on the balcony because all the restaurants and cafes and stuff face they have balconies that face out into the square, out into the plaza. And so we would sit up there and just kind of look out and watch all the festivities.
Yeah. That was such a cool experience. And like, I know we did some really cool stuff, like obviously going to Machu Picchu, but just hanging out in Cusco and in the Plaza Center specifically was some of my favorite times. And just, going into the different stores and even, so especially when you first get dropped off, there's so many people there that have like, I don't know, trinkets and little tchotchkes or whatever, like, and they're in their bags and they'll just like walk up to you and try to sell them to you. And I remember like bartering in Spanish with that one lady to get
Mm-hmm.
those little wallet things. And I brought so many of those back and gave them to people as like gifts. And I still use mine. I use mine today. I still
Yeah.
have mine, but
Yeah. By the time we left Peru, our Spanish was like on point, I
yeah,
felt like. And then, yeah, and they have a lot of the ladies that are walking around in like the traditional Peruvian garb and the Incan garb and stuff. They walk around and some of them have like little llamas, like
little
little baby
babies.
llamas, and they'll like ask you if you want to take a picture with it or whatever. But
Yeah, we did that once and I don't remember if it was like 10 soles or 20 soles, but I was like, I don't even care. Like it's worth it. That was so cute.
yeah,
That one time though that we were walking and so it was like just a little bit off of Plaza de Armas, in one of those streets and we just randomly found like another corridor market. You could probably see it on a map. It's not far, but there's another section that kind of opens up and there's a field and there was like I don't know, a display or something, and there was like kind of thrones sitting on there, and was it the like calendar symbol in the middle? But there was this woman there, and she had, I don't know, like I don't want to say like dress up stuff, but that's pretty much like we were kind of like looking intrigued, and she came over to us and just started like dressing us in like Incan like king and queen like garb. Remember that?
mm-hmm, yeah,
It was so much fun,
yeah.
and
We
there
just
was
happened to like stick our head in, and we like looked through a doorway, and it opened up into like a little quad area, and we just kind of stepped in. And yeah, she didn't even like ask us if we wanted. She just started like putting stuff on us, and we got some pictures in traditional Inca. I think I was a king and you were a queen.
yeah. And it didn't feel like pushy. She was not like very pushy and I think she did ask us or at least kind of like we consented for sure. Um and I was like I don't even care how much. It ended up being and I remember this. It was 10 soles, which is like $2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like absolutely. That was so cool. It was so fun. And I remember there was other people there, and they were speaking in Spanish and they kept saying like "Que bonita," like
Mm-hmm.
how cute, or they kept saying like we looked good and like
Well, and she took pictures for us. Once
mm-hmm.
we were all dressed up, she had us stand against a wall, and we were sitting in front of the little display she had. And she took your phone, and it's funny because she's like a very traditional Peruvian woman, and she like took your cell phone and was like taking photos of us and like getting good angles and like
Yeah, dude, she was a good photographer too.
yeah,
Yeah, that was so fun. Yeah. It kind of looks we're definitely like appropriating their culture, but you know what? They did it to us, okay? She dressed us up.
yeah. No, yeah, that's a that's a thing here is people appropriating culture, and you go to these other places, they love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, one of the one of the festivals that we saw, and we had to look it up afterwards because we had no idea, but there was like a bunch of floats. And I forget what it's called in Spanish, but it translates to the Festival of Allegories. And so all of the floats were like symbols of, like the one that I remember the most was that it was a like paper mache, just giant lady that looked like somebody who had a ton of plastic surgery. And she had these big like syringes in her hand and she was in like a nurse costume. Um, and there was a couple other ones that were just like so cool and so colorful. Like one of them looked like it was like a colorful, like,
Dragon. They had a
yeah,
dragon one. Yeah.
something like that. They were just so cool. And so they paraded around the streets and then they parked on one of the like alleyways. So, and they stayed there for a couple days. So you could like walk up to them and like look at them and take pictures with them. And there was one that was actually, I don't think it was in the parade, but it was. It was next to it. It was Cusco from The Emperor's New Groove, like the
Yeah.
llama Cusco.
Yep. Yep.
I thought that was hilarious. I think I took a picture with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember the one day we went down to Plaza de Armas and they were having yet another festival, and we saw a bunch of rainbow flags, and I remember thinking like, "Oh wow, they do Pride here too."
Because
Like,
it was June.
yeah, it was June, and they had a bunch of rainbow flags, and our first thought was like, "Oh, they're doing Pride." Like, we didn't even, some more traditional countries don't necessarily do that kind of stuff. But turns out that no, that's just the Cusco flag. That's their
Yeah.
actual flag is a rainbow flag.
Well, and I noticed because it's got the.
I'm sure they love that, by the way.
Well, and what's the symbol? It's the I don't remember. Cuz it's like the rainbow flag colors, but there's a like a golden symbol in the middle. And I remember thinking, "Oh, that was like that's a little different." But yeah, we totally thought that. We were like, is this pride?" And then we finally looked it up. I had to Google it cuz I was like, "Wait, what is?" Cuz I kept seeing it everywhere and I was like, "But there's a symbol on it." And I was like, "I wonder if that's just like their city flag and maybe they added the colors for Pride Month." But no, it's like all year. That is the Cusco city flag. Yeah, so we enjoyed walking around and um stumbling on like the markets. One place that we didn't plan to go, we just happened to like walk up on was the San Pedro market.
Mm-hmm.
That was it was a covered like indoor, I don't know.
It was massive, though.
It
It's a
was
giant
huge.
indoor market. And I know I've said this before, but I'm going to reiterate I am a sucker for a market, especially in places like South America. And it was so cool just walking around this giant market. It's like a big maze.
Yeah.
They have
And
so many shops and it's not even about like buying the little trinkets and stuff, but it's just so cool to walk around. And it's all local stuff, all locally made, and that's actually where we saw that girl. Like we were talking
yep.
earlier about people being sick from
Mhm.
altitude sickness, and we went to one of the little like food places, and we were sitting there. We got some drinks, and next to us was a family. I'm not sure where they were from. They were white, but the daughter was like laying on the bench, like throwing up into a trash can, like sick, and the family was all kind of like concerned, looked concerned.
Yeah,
And I
and
remember thinking like, get her some coca leaves, man,
yeah.
for the dad.
Yeah. And that's where I really liked getting the fruit drinks. I don't know, they're not necessarily smoothies. Yeah. Well, they weren't necessarily juice either. I don't know, but I went in there to get a drink. Because they inside that marketplace, it's like they have the shops where you can get like, you know, keychains and clothing and shoes and bags and all kinds of stuff, but they also had food and like drink stations too. And gosh, it was just so awesome going in there and trying to figure out the menu and then figure out how to order. It's just such a fun experience.
And then we walked to the back of the market, and all the way in the back, past all the regular shops with the trinkets and the clothing and the regular food, in the very back of the market, they have the butcher. They have all the
Yeah.
butchers back there that are selling meat. and we walked through there. And I remember I recorded that because it
Mm-hmm.
was just wild because they just had like dead animal carcasses, heads.
Dude, there was just like cow noses stacked on top of each other, like
Yeah,
just the noses.
just
And I
cut
was like,
yeah cut off snouts laying
yeah,
on the table. And you walk through there down the line of the different butcher shops and the little table set up, and it smells like straight death.
yeah, it was, I remember it was really stinky and there was flies everywhere. And I had to either stop breathing or because I didn't want to be rude, but like I was gagging. It was
Yeah,
gross. It's just so different because I mean, if you were to see something like that in the States,
yeah,
people would be calling the news.
yeah.
Channel 9.
Yeah, like every part of an animal's body they had like hacked off, and you could buy multiples of it. Hooves, you could buy just the hooves,
Yeah.
like pig feet.
I'm pretty sure they had just like cow tongues like sitting in a bucket. Like
Yeah, it was.
it was a sight to see for sure. And I was like, yeah, it was wild. And we do have it on video. I don't know if we actually
I did, yeah.
have
Hmm.
no, we have it on video, but I was gonna say I don't know if we like have gone through and watched all of that footage.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
Well, it's in our travel vlog on the YouTube channel. Check it
oh, is
out.
it?
Yeah,
I don't know if I was like, I don't know if we can put this on YouTube. I don't know if it goes
yeah.
against community guidelines or something.
No, it's a part of their
Yeah.
culture. You know,
Yeah.
it's a different culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, the market was really cool. The San Pedro market, and like you said, that's something we just kind of stumbled upon. And another thing that we stumbled upon was we were just kind of walking around Plaza de Armas and the surrounding area one day, and we were kind of hanging out, and we got an offer for a Peruvian lady ran up to us with like an offer for some massages.
Yeah. And we had seen them. You know, you see signs, but there are people coming up to you like and there's signs in the Plaza de Armas. And so we'd seen them, you know, people ask, "Oh, you want to do a massage?" And then it's like, "No, no, we're good. We're good." But like after a while of like walking around cuz we did a ton of walking, which is great for acclimating and I'm glad that we did all that we did cuz I think it ended up, you know, being like it paid off really well for us cuz we ended up not getting, you know, severe altitude sickness. Um, and but yeah, so we're like, okay, you know, let's do this. We'll go get, and I was like, let's go get, you know, just a couples massage or whatever. So then the lady's like, okay, follow me. I don't even think she said follow me. She probably just like waved like this way. Mm. Um, so we follow her and we're going down these like alleys and it's like, wait a minute, because it's not in the plaza, but they're advertising it in the plaza. Which afterwards, thinking about it, it makes sense that they do that because how else are they going to get people into their like massage parlor? But yeah, so we go back there and we're kind of sketched out, but we're like, all right, we'll figure this out. And then there's a lady with like some cards going over the different options, showing us like the different massages. They had like the stone massages and whatever. So I think we ended up doing a like a Swedish some I don't know, it was like a full body massage and so we picked it and we were like, okay, we'll do that one. So we were in the same room and they left us to like get undressed and like we had our stuff. And I remember I was kind of scared. I was like, oh man, I don't want anybody like going through our stuff while we're getting our massages. So there's like the face hole in the table. So I put all of our belongings like right under my face so I could always see them. But yeah, it
And
was
I'm not a big massage guy. That's more of a you thing. But I was like, all right, I'll do it with you or whatever, especially since it was down this like shady back alley. And yeah, they took us into like a little like room, like a rundown room with two tables in there and like a tarp up that like separated the rooms or whatever.
yeah, it was really small too.
And
It was like an 8 by 8.
you enjoyed the massage.
I
I heard you
did.
over there like, you could tell
Oh,
that it was feeling good for you, and I'm over there like, ow,
well,
ow.
and she kept saying, "La presión está bien," and I was like, "Sí, sí, yes, the pressure is good."
I mean, these little Peruvian ladies, they're probably like 5 foot tall and 100 pounds, and she had the strongest hands.
Yeah.
She was giving me Indian burns. She was She was like rubbing the back, like sensitive part of, like the fatty sensitive part of your, like the back of your arm. She
Yeah.
was just like grabbing it and like twisting it. And I was like, ow.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a funny moment from our trip too that we talk about all the time. And
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
over
know.
there like,
Well,
ooh, ah. And I'm over there like, fuck.
well, the thing is,
And like you didn't even, because you were
this
enjoying
is a
yourself so much
lesson.
that you didn't even care.
Well, I didn't know that you were over there suffering because I could hear the other girl asking you, "La presión está bien?" And you were like, "Yes." And I was like, I think you didn't know what she was saying and you were
Yeah.
just saying, "Yeah," but
I couldn't. Yeah, I was just in too much pain to even try to. I was in speaking Spanish mode right then.
what? And I didn't necessarily even know that word. I just assumed that's what she was saying. Um, but yeah. Oh man, that's such a funny memory. But it was a great massage, and I remember feeling really good afterwards. And that's one of the reasons why, like, when we went to New Orleans, I was like, oh, I need a massage because I don't like on my day to day regular. I don't just like, oh, I need to book a massage. I'm not one of those people. But yeah, on a trip, I will because we do a lot of walking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, another thing that we did in Cusco was go to it's a you will know more about like the history. But we went to a it's an archaeological site.
Yeah.
Yeah, called
Saxon woman.
yeah, Sexy Woman,
Yeah, it's an
which
ancient Incan site that was they used it as a fortress back in the day. It was the last stronghold when the Spanish arrived in Peru and they took over the city of Cusco. But it's a giant fortress, and the stone block work is famous. If you're somebody that's into ancient history, just because of the way that the stones were placed, it's very intricate, and they're almost like molded together. And you see that stonework in other places around the world, but here at this particular site, it's really impressive. So that's a place that I really wanted to go. And yeah, it's called Saxe Woman, and they say that the way to remember the name, the easiest way for people to remember the name is it sounds almost like sexy woman.
yeah, like Sexy Woman, but it's
Saxe Woman.
Saxe Woman
Yeah.
is what it's how it's pronounced. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, and it like you talk about the stonework, the the stones are like some of them are really big and some of them are smaller, but like they look cut
Yeah.
and
They're perfectly fit together, but they use no mortar. And
yeah,
so I mean, archaeologists and historians don't really know how they did it to this day. And you see stonework like that all over the city of Cusco, and different time periods of stonework, like built on top of each other, going all the way back to the ancient Inca, and then the Spanish built on top of their stuff. So the stonework is really incredible, and it's a place that people visit from all over the world just to come see it. And we specifically wanted to go see the 12-sided stone,
yeah,
and we walked around looking for it because it's a large site. And so we walked around, and we ended up asking a guy who had on a shirt that looked like he may have been a guide. And I remember we asked him in Spanish where it
yeah.
was.
Yeah,
And
well, that was something that I Google translated on how to say, but the guy asked us, he asked us if we were gringos and we said yes. And then he said, "No, gringos don't speak Spanish." And he was like, "That was pretty good." But yeah, and then he was saying it, he was telling us kind of where it was and stuff. So that was just another cool moment with like, somebody local there that felt welcoming and like they were complimenting our Spanish or at least our attempt at Spanish. Um, yeah, so that was a really fun moment that when I look back on that trip, I'm like, that was cool because it was like a confidence booster on like we're doing good,
for
we're learning
Spanish, yeah.
Spanish. Yeah. We're
Yeah, we were
we're
pretty good
freaking
by the time we
locals.
left. And then you lose it.
Yeah, yeah, we absolutely lost it.
You don't
My
really use it unless
Duolingo
you're on
owl
a.
is dead. Yeah, but so because they tell you to remember it as sexy woman. Um, somebody in our group,
Same person.
same person, um, would default to saying sexy lady. So it wasn't even sexy woman or sexy woman. It was just a sexy lady. So, and we would joke around. We would get in on it too. We'd be like, oh yeah, well, when we go to sexy lady,
Yeah,
um,
it became like the running joke.
yeah. But there is a like kind of up near where I don't even, well, it's not far, but it's not like right next to it. But there's a like Christ the Redeemer statue.
Mhm.
Not as big as like the one that's in Brazil, but big enough that you can see it from Cusco. And so the person in our group would look up at that statue and be like, "That's sexy lady."
Yeah. Yeah, they were like, yeah, we're gonna go to Sexy Lady. And we're like, yeah, it's up there. And they're like, no, it's that statue up there. That's Sexy Lady. And we're like, no, that's a statue of Jesus. And they're like, oh, I thought that was sexy. I thought that was Sexy Woman. And it's like, no,
Yeah, oh my
that's a
gosh.
that's a statue of Jesus. Sexy Woman is a big stone fortress. And it's just, yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. That was such a fun trip. Oh my gosh. But yeah, Sexy Woman was a fun time. And it's like right outside of Cusco too. Like it's not far compared to getting to Machu Picchu, which we'll get into in part 2, which is a whole day event.
Well, and we ended up, you and I spent a lot of time just us walking around, especially in Cusco. And yeah, Sacsay Woman was a place that we went, just the two of us. And I think we took a taxi all the way up. And the taxi just kind of dropped us off. And then when we were done, we just kind of took a taxi back to town. But I mean, I think it's probably walkable, but it's pretty far.
Yeah, no, we definitely took a taxi. Um oh, we also got which we ended up like leaving it there. We didn't get it, our people in our group, but you know how like in the States you can get like marijuana salves, you know, for like pain, you can um like to rub on your body or like CBD. They have coca salves, which when we tried there, they are powerful and they work, but you definitely can't bring it back in the States.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, we just had so much fun walking around and like, you know, we go to the ATM and pull out Solus and man, that's why when we were planning our Costa Rica trip, I kept like trying to make Peru happen because
Mm.
I loved that trip so much and it was so much fun just doing the like uh rough conversion of like divide by 4 and that's what you get in US dollars. And so when we were going to Costa Rica and finding out that the pricing was a little bit different, um I was like, I just have to let go of our Peru trip. This is a totally different place and we're going to have a new experience. But yeah, I had a tough time when we were planning our Costa Rica trip to let go of my expectations that I really enjoyed the Peru trip and how not cheap, but how like
Well, yeah, because, yeah, in Costa Rica, so many places take cards that we didn't even pull cash out for the first few days.
yeah.
And what I really liked about Peru is that we had immediately when we landed, we got Solus. And I enjoy that. I mean, using your card is very convenient and everything, but using the local currency and trying to like convert it in your head rapid fire while Spanish is being spat at you, like that, I love that. That's the
Yeah.
kind of travel experiences that I like. It's so authentic and you're trying to like really navigate the country. Whereas if you just can pull out your bank card and swipe your card, you don't get that same kind of interaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed even like we were talking about, I think on another podcast, just taking taxis. It was just fun. Like
Yeah.
just doing everyday things in a city that you're not from and that's foreign to you and you don't speak the language as your first language. It's so much fun just getting a taxi, you know.
Yeah. Well, and like the taxi drivers, some of them wouldn't really, you know, talk to you or engage, but there was a couple and I really appreciated it because I forgot the word for country. And so when we get in, he said "Que país," and I'm like, "Huh?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Que país," and I'm like, I don't know." And he's like, he said, like France, Estados Unidos, and he was like babbling off countries. And I don't know, just him like walking through that language barrier. And I was like, oh, Pais, country, duh. And then, yeah, and then we started talking, and it was just cool. That's how you learn. And that was awesome. That was probably one of the reasons why we like taking the taxis, but also the bartering and like, asking how much. And I mean, the taxis were so cheap too. I think the most we paid was like maybe 20 soles,
Yeah.
which is
Quantas soles?
$5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quantas soles?
Quantas soles? So I'd say every time.
Yeah.
But it was always something super cheap.
Yeah.
So it never really mattered. Like, you don't even really have to ask. In a country that's so cheap like that, you don't even, it doesn't even really matter what they say because it's going to be cheap.
Yeah. And we never negotiated beforehand. We always just said, this is where we want to go. And then when we get out, or when we were kind of like slowing down to pull up to let us out, then we would ask how much. But we didn't run into like a scam, I don't think.
No.
Mm-mm.
There was that one guy in the plaza the one night as we were walking around trying to sell us drugs. He kept, I
Oh,
don't know if he
yeah.
looked at me and thought I looked like somebody that might want drugs, but he was like,
Mushrooms
yeah,
and
all kinds of stuff.
yeah. That was funny. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
Like, you got a jug of ayahuasca or?
Yeah. I don't know. We might have thought about it.
Remember there was that, remember we were walking and up in one of the fountains, there was like a dog, there was a street dog just playing in the
Yes.
fountain just by himself.
Yeah, I got it on video because I was like, oh my God. I was like, and it wasn't just a street and there's pavement and then there's a fountain. There was a fence. So this dog jumped a fence to get into the fountain.
Yeah. And everybody was just kind of going about their business.
Yeah, nobody else was amazed by this. And we were like, there's a random dog in the fountain. This is amazing.
Yeah. And that goes back to the dogs being just like, they're just
Another
there.
citizen.
They're every day. They're like citizens,
Yeah. There's a big church, Cusco Cathedral Basilica in Plaza de Armas too, and you can tour it, and we didn't for the first few times, but there was one day that we were like, all right, let's go in there. And you can't take pictures.
Yeah, they got a museum in there.
Yeah, and there's several like, I don't know if they're altars or what, but they are just magnificent, just floor to ceiling, and I don't know, it's probably 40 feet high, maybe more. I don't know. I'm bad at estimating, but very tall, and they're just intricately carved out of wood. And one is like, covered in like, I don't know, gold flakes or something like that. It was just so beautiful and so cool. And then you can go down to
the basement.
Yeah. Is it a cellar? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of give you free range. I mean, you pay the ticket, and I think there's a couple places you're not supposed to go, but they kind of let you just wander the whole building, the whole cathedral on your own.
Yeah.
And so we went down to the lower chambers and we went upstairs and got in front of that. It's like a big window that looks out.
Yeah. And you can see the square.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was such a cool place. And is it a Spanish building?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just huge and just beautiful architecture.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of the focal point, I guess, of the plaza. That's where we would get dropped off every time, pretty much. We would get a taxi down. They'd drop us off right at that cathedral.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, and there was one place. So when we travel, we like to go try new places. Like it's rare that we will go like on a trip and we'll go eat somewhere more than once. I mean, we did that in Costa Rica, that Jalapa place, but that was more of a convenience thing. It was right next to our Airbnb. But there was this one place that we found when we were walking. So we were walking from our apartment down to the mall, and there's a food place, and it was called El Tenedor. And there wasn't really anybody in there. And we decided, let's just check it out. And I got fried rice, like chicken fried rice. And it was also like one of our first
Meal.
yeah, hot meals when we got to Cusco. And oh my gosh, I remember we were just like salivating and looking at each other like, this is the best fried rice that we've ever had. And I don't know, it's just like the fresh ingredients or what, but it was so, so good. And then there was also a random street dog that kind of came in there. Do you remember? We named him Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin. Little Kev.
He was like a white, I don't know. He wasn't a Shih Tzu, but he sort of looked like one. But he had like a human face. Like he looked like
Yeah.
he had human
We have
eyes.
a picture of him, don't
We
we?
do have a picture of him,
Yeah. He was cute, but
and
he
we
would
fed
just
him.
he was cute but weird. And he would walk around the restaurant and people would just kind of be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he'd wander around and people that were in there eating that weren't, locals were kind of like, "Oh, cool a dog," but the people that
I'm
are
pretty sure they owned him. I'm pretty sure he was their dog.
maybe, I don't know.
Cause and the next time, cause he was there the next time that we went, cause we did go back, cause we were like, hey, we really want some more of that fried rice.
Yeah.
So we went back for more at a different time, and there was like kids in there like watching Netflix or something, and they were like kind of taking care of the dog or whatever. Um, and he would like kind of sit with them, but it just the vibe felt like that was their dog, and him being there more than one day in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, they probably own him. But
And then I think it was our last night in Cusco. Remember, we walked around the city, and the city's so like it's really magnificent at night, all the lights and
yeah,
everything. And we were hanging out. Well, we went to go to Pachapapas, which is
yes,
a place that we wanted to go. It's kind of on the more fancy side, I guess, for like Peruvian cuisine, but we wanted to go there specifically to eat guinea pig.
yes. And so, funny story about this. I knew about this. Like, I knew that they eat guinea pig in Peru because
We
Kui, yes. When I mentioned kind of at the beginning of this podcast that I consulted my dad's college friend. So when my dad was in college, you know, he he went for he went for a while, and you know, we lived on like not the campus, but um the college housing. And so I, grew up going to like the university and stuff and meeting dad's uh college friends. So we met his friend when he first came to the US, and I guess they were they were in the same kind of like department or whatever. So he would come over. We actually had pet guinea pigs, and he used to joke with us, and we would get so upset, me and my sister. He used to joke with us that he was going to eat our guinea pigs because that's what they eat in Peru. So I already knew that from a child, that was something that they did in Peru. And
You were
uh,
upset about it, and now here you are,
I know I was
20
like
years later.
trying it,
Yeah.
yeah, little bandit. Um,
Was that his name?
his name was Bandit, yeah. Um, and because he had a little like black little mask. Um, and
He's
so
probably looking down on you like, son of a.
I can't believe you. Yeah, so that was something that was actually planned on the itinerary because we knew we wanted to try it, and we did, and I mean, it was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
Um, we got it fried, and or you can also get it el horno, which is like in the oven, and it's like the whole guinea pig with the face and everything. We didn't do that. We just got like fillets.
Filleted guinea pig.
Yeah. But even for like being a fancy dinner, I still think that our dinner was only like maybe $80, which is a lot, but considering like all the stuff we got, because we got drinks and we tried like the purple corn drink for being our most expensive dinner there, that wasn't even that bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought it was that much. I don't know. I'm bad with, I just pay it. I don't know. Not like
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Moneybags or anything, but you also have to be careful in countries like that are like historically cheap because you'll just be like, oh yeah, and then you will go somewhere that's maybe a little more pricey and you don't realize it, and then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but That was a cool night because that's the night I got my tooth necklace.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And we're just like, just walking around. So, our group mates actually met us there. They took a taxi, but we had been out all day and walking around, and we found that other little plaza, and that's it. It was right where that restaurant was. So we were like,
Yeah,
oh, so we kind of just hung out there for a minute.
yeah, because we got there early, so we were walking around just trying to like buy time. And remember, that's where those two little kids were playing soccer in the street, and we were
Yeah.
just kind of standing there, and the ball accidentally came to you, and you like kicked it back to them.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such a local.
Yeah, playing soccer with some
Yeah.
local kids.
It's called the Plaza de San Blas.
Yeah,
Yeah. And there's like a little fountain in it. And the,
and there wasn't many people there. It was pretty empty.
yeah.
And even though like that restaurant obviously was there, which is a little more pricey, it didn't seem like a very touristy area. It seemed like we were kind of out of the touristy Cusco areas.
Yeah.
And, like there were kids playing soccer and stuff. And
Yeah. And there was also that payphone there. And I took that picture of you with holding
yeah,
up the payphone.
yeah,
And on it, it says, tell her you love her
on the yeah
on the little
the handset.
payphone thing. Yeah. That was really cool. But yeah, so near there, because we were kind of killing time because we were waiting on our group mates to get there. And we just started kind of walking around, and on a narrow street, not even like a touristy part, like you were saying, there was people selling like jewelry that they made, and I got like a little handmade necklace that has like an amethyst in it, and then it's got like some vine, like it's string like woven like macrame, and it's like vines. And it's a really cool necklace. But yours is a sea lion
Yeah, it's
tooth.
a giant sea lion tooth. It's probably what 3 inches.
Yeah.
It's yeah, and it's wrapped and has a little emerald in the middle.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It is really cool.
It's big. It's heavy.
It is. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was like, I don't even remember what we spent on that, but we did Solus, and it was, um, that was just another cool experience too. And they were so like grateful, and we were like, yeah, we're happy because I mean, you could just tell all the stuff was really high quality and handmade.
Yeah, and you can tell they don't really get tourists there very often or travelers.
Yeah. So then we showed up to dinner with our big,
Tooth necklace.
yeah.
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 And now that same tooth necklace is hanging on our travel wall behind us,
Yeah, it sure is.
right near our Peru section.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that is it for part one this week. Thank you guys for listening. Tune in next week for part two of Peru, where we will take you to one of the seven wonders of the world, Machu Picchu, and then we also go to Rainbow Mountain. Again, just plugging our socials. You can find Temporary Locals on Spotify and YouTube. It's just audio only. And then Jared is on Instagram as Rover_underscore Stover. I am on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook as Mego Goes Global. If you guys like this episode, please do all the things, share it, like, comment, leave a review. We would really appreciate that. And with that, let's just wrap it up.
I'm Jared from Rover Stover.
And I'm Megan from Mego Goes Global. Thanks for exploring Cusco, Peru with us.
Stay curious and stay local, even if it's temporary.
Bye.
Bye.